Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in once again for Punn, Entended podcast. I'm No Beard Chris. As always, our host Bishop, and today we got a legendary guest in the building. I remember I was in 5th grade. This dude left a tape at my house named Christian. I put the tape in, I hit play, and I told you I'm a soldier and I'm from uptown. I know you heard about the way I sang it out when I come out. That's Matt, that's my nigga, that's my hoes be yakking. I want to be your baby daddy since you heard I was rapping. And I followed this guy, and you know, some unfortunate incidents went down, and what's crazy is now he's a martyr. He didn't know it at the time, but he's a martyr for what we got going on right now with us having artists having their creative content used against them in the court of law. And that kept him incarcerated for over the course of 20 years, but he's back. He's back amongst us. I'm blessed, you know, to meet him and have him here. We're blessed to have him in our presence. And he has a lot that we can learn from, and he got some new stuff coming. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking about 504 Mac in the building. What's up, baby?
What's happening, man? It's a pleasure to be here, too. Pleasure to be here, man. Mm-hmm. Bishop, no.
Hey,
for sure.
Man, you've been home. Like I said, we so glad to have you home, man. How's that love been like amongst people who tracked you back then and now get the chance to see you done did some shows, you done did some appearances. Mm-hmm. How's that love been since being home, man?
Oh, it's been great, man. Just it's humbling, you know, to know that people really rock with, you know, what I was doing, and I started at such a young age, and that was all I ever wanted, was just for everybody in the world to know, you know, what I do and appreciate the art. So, yeah, it's a great feeling.
Now, we're gonna touch on this real quick. You didn't mean to be a martyr for what's going on now, man. You have the best application of that fine line between art imitating life,
right,
and music. What you got for what's going on right now? What you got for these artists coming up, thinking you could just say anything on the record? And what are you doing to based on your experience to try to right or wrong, so to speak?
Right. Well, I think first of all, when you first started, you were spitting that verse. I don't even remember that verse.
Soldier Party.
Yeah, on Soldier Party. Mm-hmm. I remember it, but I don't remember all of it like that. So that was like, wow. I'm sitting there listening to you like, damn, if I had to perform that song, I had to go listen to it again.
A couple times.
So also, as far as on that front, I don't want those younger guys to have to censor their music. You know what I mean? And that's why me and a collective of guys and guys and ladies, my wife, and we're kind of spearheading this across the country. You know what I mean? We want to limit the use of prosecutors using lyrics against guys in court. So my stance is pretty much simple. It's I protect the art. You know what I mean? I feel that song lyrics are not conclusive enough to be used as evidence in court, right? Because I know as an artist myself, much of what we say is highly exaggerated or just downright false. You know what I mean? I think it was Fat Joe said in an interview recently, and I definitely concur. He said, Rakim said way back in the 80s, we like to exaggerate, dream and imaginate. That's what we do. And so for the younger artists, I encourage them to be free. Be free creatively, you know what I mean? And that's why there's people like myself fighting so that they can be free creatively.
Yeah, that makes sense. You got some?
Of course. Okay,
sure. Go ahead.
Man. So now we're not gonna go all the way down the No Limit train, but if y'all looking at it at home, this is what 80 Million Records looks like, right? Like some of this stuff, he walked in, he ain't seen some of this stuff in years. Going back there briefly, what on this table?
Yeah.
What's your favorite album?
The favorite album, I love a lot of these albums, but I think that the one that I listened to the most, I would have to say is Unladylike by Mia X. That's probably the album that I listened to the most when I was on the streets because the production, sonically, I just loved the way it sounded in my car. And there was a lot of great production on all of the albums, but I loved the beats that Beats by the Pound put on Mia's album. So I used to really cruise to that a lot.
Yeah, that's that true niggas till I'm dead.
Yeah,
like
so
her and C Murder got some shit on it.
Yeah, so that's probably why I would pick that album because of sonically how it sounded to me. And I loved to listen to it in my car when I was on the street.
So I want to talk about when we was on the No Limit tour and we found out that you was getting out.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like soon you got out so fast. It took so long. It took a lifetime, but when it happened, it just happens fast.
Yeah, it happened crazy.
And I remember we was in, I think we was in Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
We was in Detroit, and you had that black hoodie on. And I think I was on the elevator or something, and I think you was talking to your son, and everybody was like, Mac over there.
Right.
And I was like, shit. I'm gonna speak to him, but I'm like, I know he just came home, so.
No, let me tell it. Let me tell it, because I'm going to tell y'all. Man, Bishop walked up to me. We never met before. That brother walked up to me and handed me $500 off the top. Yeah, bro. Man, welcome home. I was like, damn. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't even about the money, but the fact that he understood that I just got out of prison.
Yeah, he just came home.
You know what I mean? And yeah, and you know when people first get out, bro, they be needing to get up. So I appreciated that.
No, it was dope, man. It was like, that was the least I could do. I'm just like, damn, like, dude, like I was in middle school. We used to skip school. My partner, he had like the Cain and Abel album, and it was another album. He had this one, the Seven Sins.
Mm-hmm. That was the first No Limit record I ever was on.
He had that, and he had the Silk the Shocker first album, and I think it was Down South Hustlers. And we used to just sit in the art class and just look at the graphics.
Right.
And be like, man, they about to take over. They about to take over.
Right.
And sure enough, that shit took over. So to fast forward a whole lifetime and to be in the same arena, because you know me and Fiend, we was grinding.
Right.
Like prior to you coming home, like I'm just, hey, do the show, do this show. Yeah, sing this song, do this, do that. Let's get these shirts made. Put the album cover on this, do this. And then when you came home, it was just like a family reunion, like a missing piece. It's like you, Mystical, Fiend, Serve-On, Mia, P, Silk, Mercedes.
Yeah.
Like I did a lot for Mercedes as far as just, you know, trying to keep her relevant and reinventing herself. Mm-hmm. And man, it was life changing. It really made me want to just do more. Like, okay, it's something else I need to be doing.
Right.
And for us to be at almost 2023, and you just gave us a new project. What is it? Son of the City?
Yeah, new project is called Son of the City. Actually, most of it was complete last year.
Right.
And it just took me some time to just get adjusted to the way the music business was moving right now, because it's different from when I got out. So, I mean, from, before I went in. And I had, I took some time to kind of just contemplate where it would fit in today's music. But, I had to remind myself that while in prison, I made a promise to myself that I would never again make music just for sale. Never. It was like, I'm going to do music now because I love it and because I feel it. And whatever it sell, it sell.
So break down what you told me about, like, the different genres of how you want your albums to come out.
Well,
say Son of the City is like jazz influence, right?
Yeah. And I'm still, Son of the City was more of I wanted to, take it back to the city, where I'm from, New Orleans. And New Orleans is the birthplace of jazz. So I wanted to make this album kind of sonically jazz-oriented, with still with that rapid-fire flow. And I think what we accomplished was great. I had some good producers working with me. It was me. It was my homie Ray Vaughn Neal. We recorded most of it at my homie Scooter, who was my drummer. And Scooter used to actually play drums for Cyndi Lauper and for Lionel Richie years ago. So we recorded most of it at his spot. He has a spot called New Bridge Recording Studio, Uptown. We did all of the mixing and mastering at Richmond Studio in the East. I had a guy named Cognac, a new guy that I met since I've been out. He got that fire. He produced the song with me and Spitter and 3D Not T and all of us, and he produced one called Grown Man Business and one called I Can't Go with me and my son. So I think the collective of people that I had working with me, and I produced about 3 or 4 of them, I think. So, I think we had the right fit. And my homie Ray Vaughn, who did some of the tracks, is a guy I actually did music with in prison for like 10 years. He got out 5 years before me. So this is the dude who was our band leader, choir director, music tech, and everything at the prison. So he got out 5 years before me, and he was just waiting on me. So when I got out, it was a no-brainer, man, let's go. You know what I mean? So he travels when I perform. He's my bass player. And me and him swap. Like, he'll play bass on some songs, I'll play keyboard, and vice versa. My sister contributed to the album. She sang on Dry Snitching. Both of my brothers played on different songs on Big Easy. One of my brothers played the sax on Big Easy, my little brother Josh. My youngest brother, Jeremy, who used to be a Solange's trombone player, he played on Proverbs and I think something else on there. And I had a young lady named Karen Green sung on a song called Proverbs. So yeah, I think I was very proud of what we done. And we didn't have no machine behind us, and it still charted. When we put it out, it was like it peaked at number 5 on the charts. Yeah, man, and that was just on the muscle. No team, no real machine behind it, just us.
And that's another thing. I was blessed to be able to meet pretty much your whole family. I met your mama, your dad, your brothers. I think I met your sister. You brought everybody on tour.
Yeah.
I think that was in Dallas or Houston.
I know in Memphis we brought my brother and his wife.
Oh, yeah.
And my dad.
That's when I met
Jeezy.
I got Jeezy to come do the talk.
Yeah, because my dad was a big Jeezy fan. He used to talk about Jeezy when I was in prison. He was like, man, they got this fella named Young Jeezy. I'm like, Dad, what you talking about? You know what I mean? I'm in the joint. But he said, man, that dude, his music, it helped me through a lot, bro. I was like, all right.
Yeah, that's what's up.
So how you feel like when you first touched that stage again? Like the first time after going through all this if you seen Shawshank Redemption, this man did some Andy Dufresne shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, talk about when you first hit that stage and how that felt to do that for the first time in however long.
I got the footage.
Man, it felt great. And it was like sensory overload. Going from a place where I was confined to an area in a dorm with the same, many of the same guys I saw for years, and then walking onto a stage where there are like 10, 15, 20,000 people in the crowd, I was a little overwhelmed. I can't say that it was fun. It felt great, but it was also overwhelming.
Yeah, I got the footage. I think you did. I think you did about 5 or 6 songs.
The first time.
The
I
Murder,
did like
Murder,
5 or 6 songs.
The Murder,
Wobble,
Kill,
Wobble.
Kill. Yep.
I Can Tell.
Mm-hmm. Slow Your Roll.
Slow Your Roll. You brought your son out on stage.
Mm-hmm.
He had just turned 21.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. All of us, me, Mercedes, Fiend, all of us just sitting back like just zoned out.
Yeah, it was crazy.
He killed it. He killed it so crazy to the point where it was like they ain't even want you to do a whole show. You had the whole crowd. I'm talking about the crowd was going so crazy. By the time we got to show number 2 or show number 3, now P bringing you out on stage.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Now you a special guest, but it's like, man, Mac, boy, they was ready. And we was in Detroit. and they was ready.
That
They
was the first show.
Word for word. I got it on tape. It'll send chills through your body.
Yeah, that was the first show. Was in Detroit too, man. And you know, it was crazy because I think my energy was, I was there, but I wasn't as hype as I normally be because it was almost like a basketball player who hadn't played in 2 years and he stepped on the court for the first time and he kind of iffy, you know what I mean? Because he had that injury in that ankle, you know what I mean? So I kind of felt similar to how I guess a Klay Thompson felt after going 2 years without playing. You know, when I stepped on that stage after all that time, it was like, I know this. It's muscle memory. I know what to do. But nevertheless, it still is overwhelming.
No, I think that was the best show you did. Compared to the other 5 or 6.
Yeah.
I got it on tape. Before they start trimming it down, like, just do these 2 songs. That was the best performance that you did coming back, like, no cap.
I appreciate that. And, yeah, so, you know, it was a journey, man. It was a journey. Just me getting comfortable. You know, that tour helped me get comfortable with it again. You know what I mean? And that was the blessing I took from it.
Now, you alluded to it just a second ago. Last Wednesday, T.I. and his son Demani, they performed at State Farm Arena at halftime, and you just talked about how your son just turned 21, had just turned 21. You got a chance to perform with him. How does that feel, getting a chance? Like, is there a time you looking at him like, man, this is my kid, and we out here performing together?
Yeah, it felt good, man, because we talked about it so much. When I remember my son telling me when I was in prison, he'd be like, man, Daddy, when you get out, man, you got to go on tour, man. I want to come on tour with you. I was like, I got you. So when I called him and told him, he was like, man, you for real? I said, yeah. He turned into a kid again. You know what I mean? When I called him, and I was like, man, you ready? He like, man, you serious, huh? And he had never been on a plane before. So when we got on the plane, I just was watching him. Like, he was sitting a couple rows in front of us, and I just was watching him. And you know him, my son, he acting cool. Me and my wife like looking at him. And
cool
he
as a fool.
He acting cool, but I could tell he's nervous because he's steady, like, you know, was the plane before the plane taking off, he's just looking around, and then he, you know. And so it was good just to see, you know, to be able to give him that first, you know, experience of getting on a plane and of traveling somewhere with me and getting on stage. And the whole while we was on stage, he was FaceTiming. He was so excited. He was just FaceTiming the whole time we was on stage. And I was like, man, this is crazy because me and my son talked about this for years, and now he here, you know.
So how is it being a grandfather?
Man, being a grandfather is great. My grandkids actually turned 1 a couple days ago.
Twins,
on
right?
Thanksgiving, yeah.
Twins.
Boy and a girl.
Right.
Yep.
So when you came home to not only just reconnecting with your son, but 2 beautiful grandkids.
Yeah, because he had them. I had been out. I got out in June. The babies was born last Thanksgiving, so they were born on November 24th last year.
And talk about your mother. Your mother is an artist, right?
Yeah.
She's a painter.
Yeah, so my mother has been a visual artist pretty much all my childhood growing up, probably before I was born. And, you know, just watching her do what she do kind of gave me the courage and, you know, to believe in myself enough to follow a career path in art. Though it might be music, it's still art, you know, and that's something I think I credit my mother with. Just seeing her do that is kind of what gave me the confidence to say, oh, well, I can do something outside of a normal job and make a living out of it. You know, so yeah.
Can you talk about the instruments that you play and how you taught yourself, right?
Yeah, in prison. So when I went to prison, I knew how to doodle around with making beats. You know, I knew how to find little sounds that I liked on, you know, a keyboard or whatnot. So while I was there, I was determined to get out and do music again. So for me, it was like, I need to perfect my craft lyrically, musically. I mean, because at the end of the day, I'm still competitive. It's like, nah, I want to be the best. You know what I'm saying? I want to do something that I've never seen. I want to get out on this stage and play this piano while I'm rapping. I want to get out on stage and play this bass while I'm rapping. So I learned how to play the keyboard. I taught myself day in and day out, just going in the music room in the prison, just getting on the board and just, playing with it till I figured it out. And afterwards, the other instruments I basically learned by default. I was part of a band at the prison, and every time one of the musicians went to the hole, I had to learn to play their instrument. So our bass player went to the hole, and the band leader looking at me like, Slim, I'm gonna need you. I'm like, you gonna need me what? He said, man, he like, the dude that you've been training to play the keyboard, you think he ready? I said, yeah. He said, well, you put him on the keyboard, I need you on this bass. I figured the bass out in a week. So after I figured the bass out, a couple months later down the line, the drummer for the reggae band got shipped. And I looked at them like, man, don't look at me. Don't look at me for this. The drums is like the hardest instrument to play. I'm gonna tell you that now. So I was like, don't even think about it. I said, Slim, I'm gonna need you. So I had to jump on the drums and learn to play one of the most unorthodox styles of playing drums, which is the reggae style, because the timing is different, So yeah, it was a journey, and it actually gave me something to occupy my time too. So I just engulfed myself in the instruments, and that kind of helped me pass the time.
You talked about you want to do piano and rap at the same time, and that brings a question to me. Like, getting out, what is your process now? Because we got a lot of artists who do they want to say it's freestyling, but the punch in, where I'm going to say this word, pause, then I'm going to try to make this word right. What, do you still write? Like, what's your recording process like these days?
All right, so with the exception of 2 songs on Son of the City, all of them were written like 15 years ago. So these songs I've never written any of them down. These are songs that I basically wrote in my head, laying on my bunk for years, reciting them to myself over and over again until they just became part of my being. And I know them, from memory. With the exception of 2. The song Son of the City, the title track, I actually wrote that early this year. Early this year. So I did that early this year, and the Uncut, the one with Spitter, with Currency, 3D19, and Fiend, I did that one. I wrote that on the spot because I heard the track, and my homie was like, yeah, man, this is what I think you should hear. So I heard it. I was like, man, this sounds like some Wu-Tang shit. This is what I want. So for that song, because I just wanted to be like a cipher, right? So me and Fiend laid our vocals down. We went in the studio together. But I text 3D19 to see if she was going to be on the song with us. And so we had already laid our parts, and she hit me back, and she was like, man, I'd be honored to. So when she said that, I was like, yo, Rick, I said, man, I need to go back in the booth. He said, why? I said, I'm about to rewrite my verse. He said, why? I said, because 3D19 is on this, has agreed to be on this song, and I'm not about to let her embarrass me on my own song because she one of the coldest battle rappers I've ever heard. You know what I mean? So I went back, rewrote my verse, and what you heard was what I rewrote. And then I called Spitter a couple of days later and went in the studio with him, and he laid his down too. So the process was basically me going in there with an idea in the studio with, the music and stuff already. I had all that ready. All that was already planned out in the range.
So can you speak on C Murder, like far as the kind of person he is, and maybe like a story about C Murder, as far as, being a comedian or something?
Yeah, C Murder, fool. So we, right before I left, I spent the last couple years with C. We were in the same prison. He got shipped to the prison I was in, and it was good to have him around because it was bittersweet. It was good to have him around because I finally had someone that I can, share stories with, reminisce with, and just, talk about crazy things. But on the flip side, I hated seeing C in there more than I did myself, because I knew that his situation was more serious than mine. Like, he's in there with a life sentence, you know. So this was a dude who was always there for everybody he cared about. You know what I mean? He always looked out for everybody, and anybody who was close to him can attest to that. Like, he was one of those dudes who would give you his lung if you needed it. You know what I mean? And to see him in that compromised position, you know, because he's an alpha, and to see that alpha in that cage like that, it just kind of, you know, used to bother me. You know what I mean? And that's why I say it was bittersweet. You know, being around him, we used to laugh, we used to joke. And it kind of, you know, when I left, when it was time for me to go, when I got shipped to the work release, I remember going to see him and just talking to him. And, man, I felt great that I was leaving and going to a better situation, but I also felt horrible that I knew I was leaving my homie behind. You know, so it was one of them situations. And C is in the dorm where he takes care of a lot of older guys who have medical problems. And all of the dudes in the dorm love him, bro. All them old cats love him, bro, because he have that, he just, you know, he had that personality, bro. C has a magnetic personality, and anybody who came across him and get to know him, you're going to fall in love with him, you know what I mean? Because he jokes all day, and he going to talk crazy to you, you know what I mean? He had all of the old guys on the walk. He made them feel alive again, you know, when he came there. And so, yeah, he's a person who I really, really look forward to being out here with me, because I don't know if I'll be able to fully enjoy this until he's here, you know, because it's like a part of me is still there with him.
Free C Murder, man. And another legendary MC you had a chance to share time and space with was Snoop Dogg.
Yeah.
Give us a good story or two about old Snoop Dogg, man.
All right, so crazy thing is, I ran into Snoop at the No Limit reunion tour.
That was in New Orleans.
In New Orleans,
yeah,
right?
It was crazy.
So I go in the back with my family, and I see Snoop, and man, it was like we had never. It was almost like I saw him last week. He was like, "Man, what's up, man?" I said, "What's happening?" He said, "How you feel, man?" I said, "I feel good." So he said, "Man, let's take a picture." So we went to take a picture, and while we were taking a picture, I whispered to him, you know, the cameras was around, so we both keeping his face for the cameras, but I whispered to him, "Remember when y'all left me in Germany?" So he started laughing. And he was like, "Yeah, man, when C forgot the passports, cuz." So I was like, "No, I ain't talking about that time. I'm talking about when y'all got on the other bus." And he was like, "Sure did, homie." We just laughed about that or whatnot. And yeah, because that was real. Like, I woke up on a tour bus in Germany by myself. Scared the living shit out of me, man.
That was a crazy show, man. We had Snoop, I think Nelly was there, Keith Sweat, Juvenile.
And I saw Nelly earlier that day, and he asked me, was I coming to the No Limit tour? I told him no, because I didn't know yet that I was going to be in it that day, because I saw him at the Jazz Fest earlier.
Yep.
And
there was a lot going on that night, but we had a ball. I went back to my hotel room and went to bed.
You look, when person called me to come to the Smoothie King Center, I was in the bed.
You know why
I had just got off the stage.
You know why he called you, right? You know why? He couldn't do that show without you, bro. Not at the crib. Mm-hmm. And you just came home. No, they would have been on his ass about that.
Man, look, when he called me, he was like, "Man, I need you to swing through." I said, "I'm coming," and I was asleep, man. I was half asleep when he called, man, line up, because I had just got off that stage at the Jazz Fest. It was so hot at the Jazz Fest. I had fun. I had a blast at the Jazz Fest, but it was so hot. Man, I went home, laid down, and I got the call. I was like, all right, on my way. So I came to the Smoothie King tired. But once I got there and saw everybody, I was like, oh, man,
yeah, it was
like
a wrap.
old time.
When I walked in, we did sound check. and I seen all those names on them doors, I already knew it was about to be lit because I ain't know Snoop and, all these other people was going to be at the show. But when I started walking around backstage, I'm like, oh, he going to be here? Oh, shit, this shit about to be crazy.
Yeah.
P had donuts, what they call it in New Orleans, the dessert.
Beignets.
Yeah, they had them all over, like unlimited.
Yeah, beignets, fire.
A big-ass, no-limit tank birthday cake.
Yeah.
It was crazy. We had fun that night, man. It was legendary.
Man, I have to tell you, beignets is, for anybody outside New Orleans, just to let y'all know, man, they're addictive, bro.
Yeah, I probably ate about 5.
It's like crack, but once you eat one, over with, man. I'm telling you, it's over with.
Yeah, it was unlimited. We had some good times, man. The Sprinters, riding around in the Sprinter, listening to all the old school jams.
Yeah. That was fun. That was fun. That's why I say I don't have no regrets on that tour. I had fun, man. It gave me an opportunity to get my feet back in it, get my feet wet, and it was fun. You know what I mean? It was fun.